Have you ever found yourself wondering what actually makes an avoidant fall in love? Specifically, dismissive avoidance, because often they're the hardest to crack and really understand. Well, in today's video, I'm going to break this down for you in terms of the actual stages and what actually happens that makes them fall in love. And we'll start with the different stages of relationship. If you didn't already know, there's 6 stages of every relationship. The first stage is the dating stage. It's that vetting stage. It usually lasts between 0 and 6 months. And if somebody decides to make a monogamous commitment, they then move into the honeymoon stage. And even if this is just a commitment towards some sort of more exclusivity or focus on each other in non-traditional relationships, then we move into the honeymoon stage. The honeymoon stage then generally lasts another year to year and a half before we all move into the power struggle stage. And no couple avoids this. Securely attached individuals, they also go through a power struggle stage. They are just better at it, so they move through it more effectively and with much less hardship. If we make it out of the power struggle stage, which statistically most couples break up within, then we move into the rhythm stage. We found our footing, our rhythm, things start to improve, and we have a sense of stability and harmony. And after that, we move into the devotion and then bliss stage, where statistically couples are extremely unlikely to break up. But what does this whole set of 6 stages actually look like for a dismissive avoidant? Well, they're quite unique here. In the dating stage, they generally start by falling into infatuation with somebody, just like most other people. And of course, that is also informed by our own projections. A dismissive avoidant is likely to project this idea of who somebody is and really attach to that. But they're not as quick as other attachment styles to develop romantic feelings. They can get infatuation and attraction, but they're more of the slow burn type as a general rule. What makes them actually want to move from the dating stage into a commitment with another person is very unique. And it involves a few crucial things. Number 1, they actually need to feel like they are attracted and interested in somebody that they get along with, specifically, not just emotionally feeling this sort of connection, but intellectually and of course, physically. And if they feel like those 3 things are an important part of the connection, which by the way, most people miss because a lot of times other attachment styles are trying to connect with a dismissive avoidant romantically and emotionally, missing the intellectual pillar, which is really important to them when building a relationship. So if that is satisfied, where they feel like there's an intellectual connection there, an emotional connection, a romantic connection, and a physical connection, sexual, physical, they'll start to feel like, okay, there's a sustainable connection here. But the next thing that generally makes them feel like they actually want to commit, and in fact, you'll generally see this when dismissive avoidants are the ones chasing after other people for a commitment, is if they feel like somebody is not pressuring them. So a lot of times you'll generally see, for example, here that dismissive avoidants fall into chasing after fearful avoidants because fearful avoidants are really good at intellectually connecting. They challenge people. They're emotionally available and connecting. They're usually very physical, and they put a little less pressure on the romantic pillar, which is very up the dismissive avoidance alley. On top of that, fearful avoidants are a little touch and go when it comes to commitment themselves. And so what usually happens is that's sort of the recipe that will cause a dismissive avoidant to chase. And it's actually quite frequent that we do see dismissive avoidants chasing after fearful avoidant attachment styles. It's not always the case, but it is the one time you're likely to see it happen where it's statistically relevant. And here's what we then see next. If the dismissive avoidant then decides to make a commitment because they feel like there's an absence of pressure, in fact, they maybe want to lock the fearful avoidant down or somebody who's sort of that archetype, the next thing that makes them stay is if they are able to take this sort of touch and go, maybe commit, maybe not. And once there is a commitment, if that then transforms into a relationship where both parties' needs are met and where communication is healthy and open. So I'm going to get into that, and I'm going to tell you a lot about that in a moment. Now, if you want to dive way deeper into this pattern, before we finish the rest of this video, you can actually check out the course all about self-love and strengthening self-love and self-compassion in the relationship to yourself, which will obviously be a useful companion along the way. And you get to keep that literally for free for life. So check those out using the link below. What I want you to see here is that dismissive avoidants have general needs in a relationship for the long run, okay? And when these needs are met, they tend to melt a little bit. So dismissive avoidants, they need to feel accepted. They need to feel like there's a sense of safety and harmony in the way that they communicate. They need to feel like they can be themselves and have a relationship to themselves while also having established time for connection and commitment with you. And They generally respond really well to feeling like there's a sense of acknowledgement and appreciation for the efforts that they do put in. And if somebody is asking them to meet certain needs, they want to feel like that person is being direct. Generally, dismissive avoidants respond a lot better than most people think to somebody communicating their needs with them, but only if it's being done in a healthy way. For example, if it's from this healthy attitude of acceptance, saying something like, hey, I really value our time together and I want to spend a little more time together than we do because I'm feeling disconnected lately. Can we plan a fun date night this weekend? If you communicate in a healthy form where it actually makes a dismissive avoidant feel valued and acknowledged, they tend to step up to the plate way more than most people think. And I've seen this through tens of thousands of people in our online programs and in my client practice that I ran for years and years. This really works in the vast majority of cases. But if somebody is communicating from negative framing, saying things like, you don't care about me, you're not spending enough time with me, the dismissive avoidant just feels like their core wounds are hit. They go into dorsal vagal shutdown mode and they retreat. This is really important to know. Now, the last really important thing here is that communication has to be worked through. Conflict, they have to feel like they can communicate as well because generally somebody ends up leading the way, communicating healthily and above board, and they start to realize, oh, I can totally communicate my needs also. And when these sort of levers are pulled in the relationship, where early on we get the intellectual pillar of connection along with the emotional and physical pillars of connection, and then we get the pressure-free commitment piece, then eventually dismissive avoidants end up trying and wanting to commit. And that's where we need that healthy communication and the exchange of those needs happening in future stages of the relationship for them to want to really be in that for the long run. So I hope this gives you an enormous amount of clarity. Make sure you subscribe to this channel if you don't want to miss any daily videos or any free gifts or shares that I have with you on a regular basis. See you next time.